Okay, the ostrich that been sticking her head in the sand has finally brought her head back out. Yeah, I'm talking about Rachel over at MSNBC. But she's got this ejacular thing about the Democrats winning Georgia. You guys might have heard of it. It's election that is today, April 18, 2017, on this guy named John Assoff. Yeah, Assoff. John works his ass off, people. Yeah. But let's talk about Rachel here. She's going to say that the Republicans are running around with their heads cut off. Now, in this election in Georgia, we have 11 Republicans, 5 Democrats, 2 independent. Now, she's going to try to say that Republicans are running around, don't know what to do. They're like chickens with their heads cut off. But how can you say that when you have 11 Republicans running for this Tom seat, the Republican that is going to be with Trump on something? Anyways, this is a special election. You gotta listen to Rachel. This is funny, and we'll get to John in a little bit, but let's get to Rachel because she's a jackler here, and you just don't keep a woman waiting, a female waiting. Don't know if she's a woman, but female waiting. So let's go to it.
Look, it's like a time capsule. This is the website for the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee as of right now. This is what it looks like tonight, featuring President Obama shaking hands with supporters, just like the old days. It's possible Democrats are feeling nostalgic. It's possible their photo editor just quit. But luckily for Democrats, the Democratic Party has a golden opportunity right now, tonight, to get out of its past, to get unstuck, to start fighting in the Trump era. Republican Congressman Tom Price is leaving Congress to become health secretary. That means his seat is open. There's an open House seat in Georgia that he's vacating to join the cabinet. Special election for that seat's coming up soon. And yeah, that seat in Georgia has been Republican for a long time. Tom Price had no problem getting reelected there. But you know what happened in that district in the presidential election? Trump barely won. He won that Georgia district by less than 2 points. Maybe that means that Democrats could take that seat in a special election. The way this works is, in Georgia, they use a jungle primary system, which means all the candidates from all the parties run all in the same primary. And then after that primary, the top 2 candidates, regardless of which party they're in, they'll go head-to-head in the final special election. So it starts off as kind of a free-for-all. The Republicans who do appear to be trying to maybe run in that race, they're hugely divided right now, hugely torn amongst themselves over whether or not they should be campaigning on the platform of their new party leader, Donald Trump. There's real division in the Republican Party around that. That plus the partisan rating of that district in the last presidential election, this looks like an opportunity for Democrats to really, do a 180, turn things around, right? Make a splash in one of the first congressional races under President Trump. Despite that, the Democratic Party has apparently decided, can't be bothered. The Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee has sent full-time staffers to about 1/3 of their target districts for 2018. They haven't sent anybody to this Tom Price district. A district they've known since November might open up. That was only plus 1.5 in the presidential. Democrats haven't even said whether they plan to spend any money there. And they don't have any staffers there. Tom Price's seat is one of 4 House seats that'll likely open up or are open because they're held by members who've been nominated to work in the Trump White House. But here's what the recruitment director for the DCCC is saying about those races. Quote, "We all have to acknowledge that those seats are held by Republicans, and they've been held by Republicans for quite some time. And so, what are you going to do? Things are moving. Races are in motion. That district, Tom Price's district, Trump won it by 1.5 points. Democratic Party really isn't going to contest that? Really? Democrats, if you're not moving forward right now, you are losing ground."
Okay, so the favorite Democrat running person for the Democrats is this guy named John Assoff. No, it's not really Assoff. But I thought it was funny because his name's close to Assoff. But uh, can you imagine someone going up, hey, John really works his ass off? No, his name is Assoff. It's an O, not an A. But I like saying it. I like making fun of people. That must be my comedian side. But here's the funny part. This guy that you see that's look like a little kid, not the one that looks like he's been eating barbecue sandwich for most of his life and got that round puffy face. I'm talking about the young guy, the young looking thing. Okay, it's good to see that the Democrats finally getting the young people in. These young kid looking. I like to see the young. I'm tired of seeing these old people. So I'm glad the Democrats are doing something to get some of these young people in. Okay, now the story behind John. Let's talk about John. John has a girlfriend, not his wife, just his girlfriend, that's studying to be either a doctor or a nurse or something like that. She's in college. And John does not live in the district that he's supposed to be representing because he's living with his girlfriend. You say, well, what's wrong with that? Okay, she's in college. She's in she got her own room in a dorm type thing. And John's living with her in the dorm for free. Like I told you before, these liberals love anything free. So John's basically living rent free on campus with his girlfriend that he's not married to. Now, that's one thing. I mean, if you're going to live with a girl, why don't you just go ahead and get married? Instead of playing house, go ahead and put a ring on it. But John's not doing that because he's getting the milk free. Why pay for the milk when you can get it for free, right? He's a player. I love making fun of these people. But, anyways, usually Democrats like to see these kids married and not playing house. So let's see what will happen with the new Democrat. Okay, second problem is he's not living in the district that he's run for. That's strike two. So let's go to this video. I'm going to let you see this. Let's go with it.
Turned it into a proxy referendum on President Trump's first 100 days. For the latest, I'm joined now by Susan Page, Washington Bureau Chief for USA Today, Robert Costa, national political reporter for the Washington Post and MSNBC contributor, of course, and Greg Bluestein, who is the political reporter for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. I guess I should start, just to be fair, with the local guy, Greg. This race has gotten a lot of national attention. Explain to me these candidates. How does Assoff run without living in the district? I know it's legal, but it doesn't seem to be politically very smart. He's living with his girlfriend nearby the district. And he's bringing 95% of the money from outside the district. I would think that any Republican could use that easy against him, all three of those points, and they don't seem to be doing it.
Yeah, well, they are in a way, but it is his biggest liability. He lives just south of the district. He lives near Emory University, where his girlfriend is a medical student. And from day one, Republicans have been attacking him as an outside of the district sort of creation of liberal Democrats like Nancy Pelosi and outside Washington groups. And so this is only going to heighten if there is a June 20th runoff between him and a Republican contender.
Can he get an area A and B or something? Can he move into the district or get an apartment somewhere? I don't know. I mean, how hard is it to move 10 minutes if you're going to run for just move? I don't get it. Has he ever explained why he doesn't do that? I mean, he's spending, what, a huge amount of money in this race. Can he get car fare to get into the district? I'm being sarcastic because I don't quite get it.
Yeah, he has raised more than $8 million and already spent pretty much most of that sum. He says he's doing he's supporting his girlfriend, who's a medical student who's about to finish up at Emory University and will move to the district once she does. But again, this has exposed a giant liability for his campaign that we have not heard the last of.
Robert Costa, you're also down there. What do you make of it as a guy that just arrived down there doing Dateline reporting?
I think Assoff has a lot of electricity on the ground. Democrats are enthused. But remember, this is a Republican district. This was Newt Gingrich winning in 78. It was Johnny Isakson, then Tom Price, now the president's Health and Human Services Secretary. And a lot of traditional Republicans think this is going to go to a runoff in June. And if once they can get behind one candidate, they'll have a pretty good shot. Democrats got this narrow window right here in this nonpartisan primary to slip in, get the 50%. It's a tough call for a first-time candidate like Assoff.
Well, what good does it do to win a race, and especially if you're going to lose at the next general? If you're going to lose in the next general election next year, because once regular voting patterns set in, he'll be blown away. I've seen these people get elected to these seats as a fluke, usually after a scandal. I don't get the long-term plan for that seat, for the Dems.
It reminds me, I was in Boston. Well, I was in Boston a few years ago, Chris. You remember that? We were talking then about Scott Brown. It's all about, for the Democrats, getting away from being a beleaguered party that lost big in 2016, getting their mojo back, starting to think about a wave, perhaps. They got to win 24 seats in 2018 to take back the House. If they got any hope of doing that, they got to win in places like Georgia's 6th District.
John Assoff really wants you to think he's ready to be in Congress.
I've got 5 years of experience as a national security staffer.
There's just one problem. Assoff wasn't exactly fighting against terrorism. He was fighting against restrictions on cake parties. You see, Assoff was just a college kid, doing things like dressing up with his drinking buddies and pretending to be Han Solo.
I'm Han Solo, captain of the Millennium Falcon. She's the baby ran 4 kegs by Dobbs under 3 parsecs.
And here's Assoff and his college buddies making fun of Georgetown's female students. John Assoff, not honest, not serious, not ready. Sorry, Johnny, but the truth strikes back. Congressional Leadership Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Democrat John Assoff has not been honest with voters. For much of his campaign, Assoff has inflated his national security resume, claiming he had 5 years of top-secret security clearance. The truth? Assoff was mainly a part-time staffer and had top-secret clearance for only 5 months, not 5 years. This is nothing new for Assoff. His campaign is funded by out-of-state donors. He does not live in the district he would serve. He creates jobs overseas, and now he is inflating his already thin resume. There is nothing more important to our country than our national security and keeping our families and communities safe. Georgians need a congressman they can trust. Clearly, that is not out of touch, out of town John Assoff.